guys, it's Anita T from factversusfitness.com. Today we're going to be talking about what type of diet is right for you and what the best diet is and what you guys should be living by and eating on a daily basis. Let's get started. So I get a ton of questions about what people should be eating on a daily basis. Like literally every single day my Twitter inbox is filled with questions like, should I eat raw vegetables at night? Or how many cashews should I eat in a day? Or just, honestly, the list goes on, but just, there's a lot. So as a nutritional scientist, I wanted to make a video for you guys that sort of addresses all of these questions and tells you what the best diet of all is. Because I'm sure that you guys have noticed, if you're into health at all, that when you start looking up or researching on any sort of diets or what you should and shouldn't be eating, really quickly you'll find that there's such conflicting evidence, which is horribly confusing. Like, some people advocate the 80-10-10 diets, which are super high in carbohydrates and super low in fat, and they say, this is the diet to live by. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have people advocating the ketogenic diet, for example, which are basically the opposite macros when you're doing super high fat and super low carbs. And so with ideas this conflicting, it's super easy for you guys to get confused. And I definitely want to clear that up for you today. So basically, I just want to start by saying that one of the reasons there's so many different types of diets and so many advocates is there's a lot of evidence for all these different types of diets, and there's no actual one diet that's been like proven scientifically to be, the end all be all of diets. So if anybody's ever advocating that to you, then that sort of should be a red flag for you guys, because again, as a scientist and as a nutritional scientist in particular, I've looked at thousands, like tens of thousands of studies, and there is definitely not one saying that this is the best diet of all. There's one suggesting that maybe this one's better than that one, but there's definitely not one saying that everybody needs to live by a certain diet. So that's something to cross off your list right away. Even though all these diets and advocates of diets are so different though, one thing that you guys can notice they have in common and draw from every single diet though, is that they all tell you to eat vegetables. Like they all encourage the high consumption of vegetables because vegetables are universally good for you, and that's definitely something that we know in science. Vegetables, you should eat all colors of vegetables, all kinds of vegetables, eat as much of a variety of vegetables as you can, unless of course you're sensitive to certain foods or something. Eat just whatever variety of vegetables you can. They're all great for you. Vegetables are also really high in fiber, which is a great thing for your diet because it helps to maintain a healthy bacterial balance and it helps your body to detoxify through elimination, so promoting those healthy bowel movements. So fiber is a really great aspect of having a diet that is high in veggies. So that is my first rule of thumb, is just eat your veggies. I know it seems simple and straightforward, but it is simple because it works. My second rule of thumb may actually surprise you guys because I'm a nutritionist and people always assume that my diet is 100% perfect. I'm always going to parties or gatherings and people are like, oh, I would never expect you to touch this food because you're a nutritionist or something like that. So I get that you guys may see me as maybe the perfect image of eating, but I actually eat everything in moderation. So I put the biggest focus on healthy foods. I definitely eat, as much healthy foods as I can, and all my staple groceries are really healthy and great foods. But on occasion, I'll eat things that I may not eat every single day, and they may not be part of my daily diet, but it's just to keep out that mentality of restriction. And interestingly enough, the less that I restrict foods, the more I sort of crave healthy foods. So my sort of like cheat days have kind of turned into, back in the day, they probably would have been like eating as many donuts as I can or something like that. I'm from Canada, so I'd eat as many Timbits as I could probably. But now it's more like, on a weekday, if I'm really craving like some honey on sourdough bread or something like that, that's not something that I would have every single day or with every meal, but I let myself have it because the stress of not eating these things is, for me personally, a little bit it creates a little bit of a health imbalance because your mentality is part of that and you don't want to be stressing yourself out always over a food. If you guys watch my channel, some of you may know that there was a time when I did eat a really strict diet. I was really strict ketogenic diet. I did a really low sugar diet. The low sugar went on for a few years. Keto was for like a year and a half. But the reason I was so strict about it was because I was sick. I was really sick for a long time, as you guys may know if you've followed me. And so I kind of had to eat that way because I was reacting to like all foods and I couldn't really eat a whole bunch of foods. So some of you guys who are maybe experiencing like digestive disorders or some sort of chronic illness, you may not be at the point where you can eat everything in moderation yet, even if they are healthy and natural foods. And that's okay. Like I do talk in my channel about a lot of interventions to help repair the status of your gut. So if you follow those, you'll slowly get there and slowly be able to reintroduce the foods that you can eat. Keep in mind that if you guys are happy eating like a really strict low sugar diet or a keto diet or something like that, I'm not saying that you guys need to deviate from it. It's just totally up to you. For me personally, I'm Lebanese and I grew up in a family that was sort of all about eating and it was surrounded by food. So I just found the social situations and the family situations really stressful when I had to eat very specific things. And over time, for me personally, that stress actually built up and it kind of never really went away for those few years. I got better at coping with it, but it was still always there. And so through that, I decided that reintroducing foods and just eating in moderation was what would balance out my health goals in terms of mental health and physical health. But for you guys, if you're so happy doing like a really strict diet that's just super healthy all the time, then I mean, all the power to you. So my third rule of thumb is to try and eat a variety of foods. And the reason for that is because basically the more variety of foods you eat, the more variety of nutrients you're gonna get. If you're eating the exact same foods every day, there's a few problems with that, but one of the big issues if you're eating the same or similar foods is that you're kind of going to be repeating the same or similar levels of certain nutrients, and some nutrients can actually compete with each other. So if you're getting really high levels of one, it may actually drop the level of another, and you may actually end up missing a certain nutrient or over time feeling some effects of that. So getting a variety of foods is great for that, and it also helps to promote a varied intestinal bacteria, and we've seen that when you have variations in your intestinal bacteria, that actually leads to a healthier gut and healthier people. So eating a variety of foods is definitely something I try and do. Keep in mind, like I said, I know that some of you guys may be on sort of gut repair routines and you may not be able to eat such a huge variety of foods. I do have a lot of clients who come to me and they tell me they feel like they can't eat anything right now. And so I understand that, and like I said, that's something to work towards repair. I have a lot of interventions on my channel that you can take a look at, and slowly those will help you be able to reintroduce a lot of foods, and then you guys can get back to that variety and make sure that you guys are getting all your nutrients and being really healthy. Okay, rule number 4. I'm disliking calling these rules because they're not really rules. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things is to not be so restrictive with yourself and set these rules. So I'll call them guidelines. Guideline number 4 is to eat what makes your body feel good. You guys want to be eating things that work with your body. So like I said, there was a time when I ate really strictly and my foods list was really narrow, but that's because that was all that was working with my body. I was getting reactions after my meals, like I would be bloated after every single meal, or I'd get breakouts or hives, or like I've even fainted before. So obviously there was a lot of foods that were not working with my body, and so when I say eat everything in moderation, I mean that within the context of what is making you feel good and what is healthy for your body and what is working with your body to not produce any sort of symptoms that you don't want there. This is the issue with diets that advocate that like there's one end all be all of dieting, because for example, like if somebody's encouraging a really high fruit diet, that doesn't mean you need to eat a high fruit diet if you're eating it and getting all these digestive symptoms after it and your body's just not seeming to adjust to it. Some people are actually sensitive to excess amounts of fructose, and this kind of goes for any type of diet like that. So there is no one way that you have to do. and just make sure that you're doing what makes you feel good. Because when you think about it, our biology and our background and our origin and everything about us is so different. All of our genetics and everything is just so different from one another that somebody's diet may work great with their body, but it may not work so well with yours. If you guys look around and, thought of the probability of just going for a walk like to the grocery store and running into somebody who looks like identical to you, like the same face, same body, like that seems crazy. But the probability of that happening is actually way higher than meeting somebody who has identical biology to you. So you guys can, just by that statement, you can guess how crazily different we are and why some people's diets may not be your perfect diet. As long as you're following the basic rules of eating things that are minimally processed foods, whole foods, nutritious things, then, as long as they're working with your body and they fall into these categories, that's great. So my last and probably actually least favorite out of all these guidelines that I've given you today is I do try and live a low sugar lifestyle. The reason for that is there's a lot of studies that do show the downsides, some pretty major downsides of having a high sugar diet. And if you have a bit of a sweet tooth like I do, it's a little bit of a bummer, but I'll tell you guys some tricks that I use to get past it. One of the reasons that these diets are negative for you is because studies show that a high sugar diet actually contributes to an imbalanced bacterial profile, and this can start to cause things like digestive symptoms, IBS, mood disorders, and lead to a whole bunch of other issues because the bacteria is just involved in basically every process in your body. So having a high sugar diet is able to promote bacterial imbalances. It's also able to promote inflammation as well. So that's something that sort of is at the root of disease. So again, that's unfortunately a negative of having a sweet, sweet life. One more reason that may be a bit closer to home for you guys is the whole insulin thing. Obviously, having a lot of sugar will make your blood sugar a little bit imbalanced because it causes spikes and dips in insulin and blood sugar. And so basically, if I'm getting sources of glucose, then I prefer to use like slow carbs. So things like sweet potato or beans are what I go to instead of having something that's like straight sugar or even white bread or something like that. These types of foods contain a lot of fiber, so they won't really spike your blood sugar. And then on top of that, they're going to balance your energy levels throughout the day, so you'll actually feel more consistently energetic and avoid any crashes in the middle of the day. Over the years, I had to come up with a lot of ways to cope with the low sugar thing because, your cravings do sort of go away, but if you just really enjoy eating sweets or like always had a sweet tooth, then like it's just nice to enjoy them. So I've come up with ways to curb that sweet tooth, and it changes sort of depending on the day and how I'm feeling. But right now, for example, I'm like so obsessed with dark chocolate and peanut butter. I take like a little dark chocolate piece. It's like 20 grams and I have it once or twice per day. And it's 85% dark chocolate and it only has about 3 grams of sugar in it. And it's organic cane sugar, which is, much better than the refined stuff. And then I take a tablespoon of peanut butter and I just sort of put it on top. And honestly, guys, it tastes like a Reese peanut butter cup. I'm like so obsessed with it right now. I'm actually about to go have lunch and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, things like that are sort of like dessert substitutes that aren't so extremely sweet will curb your sweet tooth, and your taste buds will calm down over time to not expect that massive hit of sugar, and they'll really adjust and find things like this really sweet and satisfying. So anyways, guys, those are my main guidelines for living a healthy, nutritious lifestyle. Eat a lot of vegetables, eat all foods in moderation, eat a variety of foods, eat what makes your body feel good, and don't overdo it on the sugar. I hope this video helped to answer some of those questions that are pouring into my inbox. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up below so that way I'll know to make more videos on this topic of what you guys should be eating. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and remember, if you guys want a scientist on your side to improve your gut health with facts that are totally off the book, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel below. See you guys next time.